Welcome back to Soccer with a Kick. My name is Craig Malice. I'm with my good friend Alan Willie. Hi, Alan.
How you doing? Good to be back.
Very good to be back. It's been a couple of weeks. Did you have a good holiday?
Yeah, my family and I drove down to Iowa, spent 3 or 4 days down there, and spent Black Friday chipping ice off the car. Couldn't get into the car. There was that much ice. So it took about 4 or 5 hours to get everyone's cars clear. So that was a little bit of fun, though.
So how was good? What was good about that?
It was some exercise.
I can see that. Yeah, it's for people like me and yourself. It can sometimes be a little bit difficult time. You know, when we're from a different country and you might not have a huge amount of family over. I love seeing my friends post pictures on Facebook and Twitter of them with their massive families, and it just reminds me of, you know, good times when I was back home, and being very lucky enough that the families I've spent Thanksgivings with are just absolutely unbelievable. I had a good one. I cooked everything, believe it or not.
I didn't.
I
ate everything.
I ate everything too. But no, I cooked everything. I had someone very close to my heart that came over, and her name is Natalie Cooper, and she's an unbelievable youth soccer coach in Minnesota. So I want to give them a little bit of a hello. She coaches at she was assistant coach for Robbinsdale Armstrong, and they had an unbelievable year, which was very, very exciting. I got to go see some games. She would send me a text from the bench saying, "What would you do?" As you know, if a beautiful lady, asks you what you want to do soccer-wise or advice, you just say, do what you want.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. I was not getting into that. Big shout out to Natalie and Robbinsdale Armstrong. So, Diego Costa. That's something that really caught my mind this past week, and this is going to be a little bit Premier League heavy, I think, because we did miss 2 weeks, or we missed 1 full week, so we have 2 weeks of predictions, and we have our third week. But Diego Costa really caught my attention when, I'm not sure if you people were, if anyone out there was watching, Chelsea-Tottenham, the game before, he basically got in an argument with the manager, Jose Mourinho, really badly on the pitch, which is something you never do. You know that's locker room, Alan.
Yeah, you got to keep that in the locker room. It's not for everyone to see.
You wait to get out, get in the locker room, do what you have to do, and then you leave. And then he was not in the starting 11 last week, last Sunday, I think it was Sunday, yeah. And he refused to warm up before the game with the players, knowing he was going to be a substitute. And then he was asked to go warm up in around the 70th minute-ish, and basically just stood there with his hat on, a little bit of a stretch. Jose Mourinho didn't like that. He basically said, come back. Somebody else went on, and then as he was walking up the bench at White Hart Lane, Tottenham Hotspur, took his vest off, or his bib off, and threw it backwards. So it wasn't the wind. He didn't accidentally drop it. You clearly see it go over his shoulder right in front of the manager. If you were that manager, what would you do?
Well, back in the days when we played, that would never happen for sure. Going back to last year for Diego Costa, when I first saw him play for Chelsea, I thought that was a great buy for him because he was scoring goals, just tremendous player. But this year, just like Costa and the rest of the Chelsea team, have seemed to be struggling to get their game together, and it's getting to them. And I haven't seen the last 2 weeks. I haven't seen them play. This week I was traveling, but back in the day when I played, my manager was Jack Charlton, and if I refused to warm up to go out before the game, I would never see the field again. And if I did get out there and warm up and then go down on the touchline and said no, back then the chances are he would have took you down the tunnel and beat the crap out of you, because that's the way he was. These days you can't touch the players. They have so much strength in numbers, and it's just they pretty much run the game. The coaches are almost just like babysitters. They've got to keep them happy most of the time. But that for me, if I was the coach at Chelsea, he wouldn't see the field again this season for the antics he pulled, because he's not hurting himself, he's hurting the team. And you got to be a team player.
See, I think for me, and we know Chelsea's had a lot of problems this year already, I think a lot of it stems from him. Because when you watch the games, it infuriates me, because I don't know how defenders put up with the stuff he does. I would just do one tackle on him. And I hate saying that about anyone, and not like it'll be a dirty one, but I would just let him know, you're not going to do this anymore. All he wants to do is fight. If he saved his energy, he'll be a much better player. And it's really annoying when you watch him play, when he does stuff like that, because he's much better than that. Also, he misses a game or a couple games, and they actually start playing better. What do you think? Do you think? And I know my opinion. He does the stuff he does in games in training. That's what I think.
Well, the things he does, he's a striker. He's not at the moment. Last season he was all about scoring goals. He'd get involved every now and then in a clash if they were up a couple of goals. But it just seems the opposite this year. He's not interested in scoring. He just wants to see who he can fight. And he's bumping into everybody, he's stepping on people's toes, pushing them, getting the hands in the face, and he's just trying to start arguments all over the field. Which if Chelsea are trying to play, good football, they're playing with 10 men really, because he's not even watching where the ball is. He's trying to get involved with defenders to try and get them off their game. But what he's really doing is upsetting his own team's game, because they're looking for him to be a target man, to get the ball played up to him, played back, make some good runs. But he's doing everything but that right now. And I agree with you. I think what he's doing in the games, he's doing in practice. And if Mourinho is seeing this, he's got to think about, he shouldn't see the field again, at least for a few weeks, just to let him sit there, because, like you say, the team plays better when he's not on the field, but they don't have very many options right now. And you can guarantee when January 1st comes around, Abramovich's checkbook's going to be wide open for some kind of forward to replace him if they can.
Well, I think he's going to be gone, definitely. They got to get rid of him. Like you said, they don't have a huge amount of options up front. But I tell you what, if he played for Man United under Sir Alex Ferguson, there's no way he would ever play again, and he wouldn't have played the last couple of games. Imagine doing that to Sir Alex.
Well, he would get more than one hairdryer, because he would get a half a dozen hairdryers and whatever else he could pick up and throw at him, because he wouldn't allow that. But as you say, for whatever reason, Mourinho is letting him do that. But as soon as January 1st comes around, the checkbook's going to be open and he's going to be gone. But when I first saw him play last season, he reminded me of how Sergio Aguero at Manchester City started off. When I first saw this guy playing, when he first came to Manchester City, he was scoring goals all over the place. But the difference between the two of them, Aguero's got better and continued on to score goals. With Costa, when he's struggling, he just wants to fight people.
Like I said, with Alex Ferguson, it would be a complete different story. Not that he wasn't a winner, because obviously he's the most winning coach of all time. He's absolutely brilliant. I just think Mourinho is so, and he wasn't an ex-professional player. He's so obsessed with winning, he would put up with that just to win a game and the hope to win a game, where Sir Alex would never, ever do that.
But they're not winning games right now, though. That's the hard part. I think they've won one in the last 2 or 3 games, which is not good enough for Chelsea with the payroll they have and the players that they've spent money on. They need to start winning games. So he's got to come to a point where he's got to say, forget him, forget he's even at the club. Suspend him let him sit at home and let the players who are there work together, and that's what they need.
It's funny how you brought up Aguero, because I think he's a brilliant player. I love his movement. I love everything he does. He has a son, and his son's dad is obviously Sergio Aguero. His godfather is Leo Messi. His grandfather is Diego Maradona. How much pressure does that little boy have, or how much talent will he have? Think about those three. It must be absolutely brilliant to be a Thanksgiving or a Christmas or any holiday with those three people in your front room. What do you do?
But he's come through and he's proved what he can do. Messi and Maradona are great players, but he's just as good. I love the way he plays it, the movement that he has. He's scoring a lot of goals for Manchester City, and for Manchester City to win the championship this season, they need Sergio Aguero fully fit. He's a little bit injury prone every now and again, but when he is fit, he's one of the best strikers in the Premier League.
So I want to lighten up a little bit, and then seeing if you had a funny story from your playing days. I've got loads from when I played. I didn't play quite as long as you, unfortunately, but I still have some brilliant ones, and those are the ones. Those are the stories that I always get asked about from people when they say, when you played in college or when you played professional, what do you miss the most about playing? And obviously you miss playing, and you miss being in front of the thousands of people, but a lot of it is the funny stories that no one ever gets to hear about, like stuff in the background, stuff in the locker room, and we probably shouldn't bring up anything in the locker room because just way too many funny stuff that goes in there. I can start off, and then so you can think about it because I didn't really bring this up to you. A big thing for me was airports. I was a genius, not on the field. I was a genius at tricks in the airports, and we'd be waiting to get in a flight, and you go through security, as you know, and it's a massive line. You're in line for like an hour. Tickets, and you know what it's like when you're with a team. There's one person that goes up and gets the tickets, and you have to wait for your name to come and then show your ID and do all that. And I used to wait until we got all the way through security, and we'd be sitting at the terminal. And you know when you're in a gate, and the gate next to you is empty, and then they have that little kind of stand with the microphone, I would go hide behind there. And this, again, is before texting or calling or emailing. I had a flip phone, which I love. I miss it. And whatever new player made that travel squad, so whether it was a freshman, it doesn't matter. Whoever made their first squad, you would say their name. So I'll give me 2 names, just random names, because I don't want to incriminate anyone.
First names?
First name and a last name.
David Gibson.
Okay, David Gibson. I would go behind, grab the microphone, hide down, and say, "Will Mr. David Gibson please stand up?" And he'd stand up, and I would say, "You left your ID back at the front of the airport. Please come all the way back." And he would go all the way back, which means he has another hour and a half to get through the security if it was really, really bad. And that's what you did. There's a little bit of initiation, and I know it sounds terrible, but we did it, and the boys were laughing. I also have another great one about Hulk Hogan. I might tell you about that one next week, because that is a quality one. What's a funny story you have?
Not necessarily funny. One of the weird stories is I think it was when I played for Montreal. We were playing down in Fort Lauderdale at Lockhart Stadium, and we got out to warm up. And just as we were coming off the field after warm ups, it started to rain, and there was a thunderstorm came down. It just poured down. So then we're getting ready to come out for the walkouts, and the guy comes in and says, "You got to hold off." He says, "The field is covered in either frogs or toads, wherever they were. We couldn't go out there because they had to clear the field from all the frogs or toads, wherever they were." So the game was delayed probably 15, 20 minutes while the people that are around the stadium had to come in and scoop all these frogs or toads off the field. But the game went on. There was no frogs or toads hurt in this, or any animal activists out there. Everything went fine. But the other parts of the funny stories was we used to, whoever you were rooming with, you had these big travel bags with your number on there and the team's logo, and whenever you would never take your eye off them at the airport, because you took your eye off, you put it down for a second, and you look around, and the next thing you think your bag's gone. And when you find it comes back, it's full of, you don't know this till you get home, but it's full of telephone books. All of a sudden, you got 2 or 3 telephone books in the bag. If you set it around in the hotel, you've got plates and silverware in there. So when you get home, you've got all this silverware and plates and phone books, ashtrays, or whatever it happened to get your hands on, would end up in your bag, and you would be taking it home.
Yeah, those are good days, and like, I'm sure you'll agree. You love playing in front of people and competing, but the camaraderie you had with your teammates, that was for me. That's the biggest thing I miss about playing. And as you said about in the airports, and I've already brought it up, but it's a brilliant one. Is everyone put when you fly, as soon as you land, everyone would put $5 in. The first bag that came out, that person got all the money, and at least when I was with the Thunder, if you won that was probably more than your salary at the time. So, which is really good. But also just a quick segment for our great producer Grant. Thank you very much for doing everything you do.
No problem, bud. Glad to be
hello.
here.
Yep, I'm a big fan of him. He does all the hard work. Me and Alan just sit and talk football. He's the one that makes us look good. He's the one that gives us the music. He's the one that gives me the round of applause only once a week.
I'm looking for it. Here we go.
Hey, there we go. But yeah, our producer Grant, tell me about some of the sport ticket with Kevin Goring and Kendall Mark.
Kevin Goring and Kendall Mark. They are two members of Fox Sports North. Kendall Mark was a former Fox Sports North girl, and Kevin Gorg does a lot with the Minnesota Wild and Minnesota Twins and Timberwolves. He's an analyst with FSN, but he has a show. Together they have a show on our Alive and Social network called The Sports Ticket. It's every Monday and Wednesday, and it broadcasts usually from 4 to 5, and actually, we're just going to edit this out. We're going to start that over because I can edit this out. We're not live because I screwed up the times, and I got to make sure I get the times right here. So, sports ticket. Which time is it? It doesn't say here. Monday 4, Thursdays 5. There we go. All right. So, sorry. Because I'll just go home and edit this out and then make it a normal one. So we'll just go back into it. But on the Alive and Social Network, we have a lot of different sports shows. And another good sports show that we have is called The Sports Ticket with Kevin Gorg and Kendall Mark from FSN North. Kevin Gorg is a local analyst with the Minnesota Wild. He's done a lot of work on KFAN, but he breaks down everything and anything from sports Minnesota related to the Twins, Timberwolves, Wild. He gets into a lot of fantasy football talk before the games and after, with who to pick and who may you want to bench and whatnot. But check it out. It's every Monday at 4 and every Thursday at 5. They broadcast in studio on Mondays and from Thursday from Pat McGovern. So if you get a chance, go out to Pat McGovern's and check them out. It's The Sports Ticket on the Alive and Social Network with Kevin Gorg and Kendall Mark.
Sounds good. Yeah, please check that out, everyone, if you can. I've been kind of going through the Alive and Social website and having a look at different podcasts and different things that are going on, and it's absolutely brilliant. So just happy to be a part of it. Alan, MLS, Columbus played Portland in the final. Not sure if you saw any of the games. Portland were lucky to scrape through the last couple of games. We went to, I think, 2 penalty shootouts, 1 or 2. Did you get to see any of it over the weekend?
I didn't get to see the games. I just saw some highlights. I think it was the Columbus game where the New York Red Bulls who were playing, and I saw had a couple of chances late in the game. One came off the post. But like you say, if they've gone through 2 shootouts, it almost sounds like it's Columbus's year. I haven't watched a lot of MLS this year, but starting next year, I'm going to start watching a lot because of Minnesota United obviously going into the MLS. So you want to be ahead of the game, getting ready to see who they're going to be playing and stuff like that. But it's at Columbus, and I'm glad it's at Columbus because it's on natural grass. I know Portland is AstroTurf. I despise AstroTurf to play soccer on. It's not the best surface, and it kind of spoils the game. So it should be a very good game. That's on Sunday this week, right?
Yep, this Sunday. I think it's 4 p.m. 4 p.m. our time. It's going to be a good one. I like Portland. I always did. It was probably my favorite place I ever played for the atmosphere. But I do remember the AstroTurf. We also had a player out in California who's been a professional for 10 years, Brian Farber, who now does a lot of he still plays professional, but he does a lot of great work. He proposed to his girlfriend that night. It was a great evening. She fortunately said yes, otherwise it would have been a really awkward bus ride back to the hotel. But yeah, Portland, that atmosphere is unbelievable. And it still is in Seattle, and those are when I was in the USL, that's when it was called, basically the NASL. It was Minnesota Thunder, and then Seattle Sounders, Vancouver, Montreal Impact, Portland Timbers, and it's really funny to see how all those teams have moved to MLS, including our team as well, which is really good to see.
I mean, I do like Portland. I mean, I like the place. And back when I played in the NSL, years and years ago, it was AstroTurf then, but it was more like a carpet. It wasn't. Today's AstroTurf is more like it's hard to see on TV whether it's grass or if it's AstroTurf. But back in the days when we played, when it was AstroTurf, it was more like a living room carpet. It was just green, and you went down on those surfaces and you'd lose half the skin on your leg.
So the head coach of Portland Timbers, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about him. His name's Caleb Porter. He was the head coach at Akron University when I was playing at Wisconsin-Milwaukee. His rise has been unbelievable. He just holds himself very well. He's a lovely guy. He's competitive. It's very rare from a Division I head coach to move into the professional level and be successful, or even just get there anyway. I know we spoke a little bit before. You weren't too familiar with him. I just want to give him a little shout out because I think how he conducts himself, I think how his teams play, I think he's a great guy. What do you think? Or
I honestly, I don't really know the guy. But if he's coaching Portland, he's been doing well because Portland always seems to be in there or around about making to the finals every year. So obviously he's doing the right things. If he's successful in college and he's starting to be successful in the pros, he's got a bright future ahead of him.
So one thing you might have noticed about this podcast, and we both love it, is that we don't really have an intro music yet. Grant,
Yes,
our
sir.
amazing producer, did give us one. I think that was me and Alan showed up. There we go.
This is what we've been going with.
We've been going with this. Me and Alan showed up maybe late one day, and we had no format. We had no song. We had no name. For a while, we were the No Name Football.
Yeah.
It's like we literally had nothing except we came in with our glasses of water. That was it. We're trying to ask you out there, and my Twitter handle is at Craig_Mallace, Mallace. And then we have at Alan Willey, Willey 9. We're trying to find out what you want. What do you want our intro to be? And we may listen. Well, we'll definitely listen, but we might not agree. So no Justin Bieber, no Miley Cyrus. But I was going to ask Alan to get off topic, get off football for a little bit. What's your favorite band? If you had your last night having a dance, not even a dance, just somewhere. Don't say song, just band.
I'm not sure if I have a favorite band. I'm kind of I've always liked Rod Stewart from way back when I was playing my playing days in Middlesbrough. But and I love Adele. I love her music. And I was just thinking the other day, I know how you like her new song.
Love it.
And that could be a great song for the England fans to sing to the Scottish fans back home in Europe next year when they're playing. They could say, they could be singing, "Hello from the other side." That'd be a perfect song for the England fans to sing, just to make you guys feel at home.
So seriously, Grant, you don't have a boo thing?
I do, but I had to rock that one. I'm
No,
sorry.
that was a decent one. That was a good one. I heard actually. Well, we'll keep going on the bands and maybe a couple other things as well outside of football. But I heard a hilarious song today. Not a song, a hilarious joke, and I thought it was funny. I don't know why. It was on the radio, and someone said, and you can answer Alan or Grant. Why did Adele cross the road?
I have no idea.
So she can say hello from the other side.
That's awesome.
The simple, that's kind of our type of humor.
I love corny jokes.
Yeah, I couldn't stop laughing. There was a few other ones, and I don't know if they were too appropriate. For me, for people that are listening, my band is Oasis. I love them. I love the music. I think since me and Alan and Grant are all rock and roll stars, I think that would be a brilliant opening I don't know if you have that, Grant, or if you can
Oasis,
have a look.
Well,
But Rock and Roll Star is the name of the song, so maybe pull it up and we can do it later. Maybe go out on it, but it's a brilliant song. Movies. Alan, what do you think about movies? What do you like?
I don't go to the movies much. I only go when my son wants to go. So I'm usually going at Spider-Man 1, 2, or 3, or the Marvel movies, any of the kids' movies. And most of the time I fall asleep and I wake up just before the end and tell them it was a great movie. But I'm not really a big moviegoer. I watch a lot of movies on TV, but if I go to the theater, it's usually with my son to watch one of the kids' shows.
Well, I've not been to a theatre in years, honestly, like 2 or 3 years. I do watch them at home if they're on. You're telling me you didn't like Braveheart?
To tell you the truth, I haven't watched a second of it. Now, does that surprise you?
That is shocking. You know what I'm bringing in next week, that's for sure. Just to keep it going, food. What's your last meal?
Fish and chips. I love fish and chips. And, when I do the games up at Minnesota United, I asked my wife if she's going to come to the games. And she says, I'll text you later on and I'll get to the game and at 5 o'clock and she'll text me and the first text will be, is Anchor Fish and Chips there? Because if they're there, then she's going to come out to the game. So, but fish and chips, I just love fish and chips.
There's so many. I honestly don't know what it would be for me. Fish and chips, I love. I'm a steak man. I love my protein, or any type of protein. I'm also seafood. I'm the fattest, skinniest guy in the world. I just love my food. But that was good to get in there. People at home, friends of me, friends of Alan, friends of the show, friends of Grant, please let us know what song you want us to do. I know he's looking up Rock and Roll Star right now. That's what I'm pushing for. Hopefully Alan agrees.
This is a little live version of it, I feel like, right now.
It's a live version. It basically just describes the 3 people in this room. And don't worry, I'm not going to sing for you people.
Maybe they will eventually, hopefully.
I've been known to do a few. I could do Adele. And unfortunately, they're Man City fans, Oasis.
They are?
Yep, they part own it.
Really?
Probably not a lot of it, but they're massive Man City fans. If you go online and kind of look up some things, they hate Man United. They're passionate. They go to all the games. Noel is actually on a podcast called Talk Sport, which is the biggest radio show, actually not podcast, radio show in the world.
Really?
It's 24 hours long. And every 3 hours, a new celebrity or a new ex-professional player and a color commentator will come in, and they do it. It's 24/7. So when I'm not here, even when I'm at the office, I'm in bed, I'm trying to sleep, I have my headphones in, I listen to it, I would say 16 hours a day.
Really?
Yep.
I'll
It's
have to check that out.
Talk Sport.
Talk Sport.
Yeah.
You need to get a life, my friend. 16 hours a day, listen to it. Talk radio show.
Well, as part of
You're
it's
talking to the guy that went to school for it, too, so I'm the same way. I love it. All for it, Craig.
part of it when you're sleeping as well. So yeah, thanks, Grant. Appreciate that, Alan, too. So predictions.
Here we go.
We missed 2 weeks. We'll fly by the first week, and then we'll take a little bit of time just to kind of speak about what we saw, or feel free, Alan or Grant, if you watched any of the games, to say, even if it's in the first week, say what you want. You get 1 point for the correct outcome of the game. You get 3 points if you get the correct score. Now, this morning I was thinking about not doing the first week, but I realized I had 1 correct score. So we're definitely doing it. And I believe, Alan, you have what our predictions, correct?
Yeah, from the first week, that was Watford and Manchester United. The actual result was 2-1 Manchester United, and you got the result right. I had 3-1, you had 2-1. So I would get a point, and you would get 3 for that, right?
Yep, I get 3, you get 1.
Then the Chelsea-Norwich game, the actual result was 1-0. We both had the result. I had it at 2-0. You had it at 4-0. So then we would both get a point again.
Correct.
And then the Swansea-Bournemouth, the actual score was 2-2. We both had Swansea winning, so that would be 0 points for us, or if it was a tie.
Brilliant.
It only works if you get the tie and the score correct, right?
Yep.
And then this is one of my favorite results of that weekend was the Newcastle.
No, can
Leicester
we not talk about this one?
This is delicious. It was the actual score was Newcastle 0, Leicester City 3, and I had it 2-1 Leicester. And for some reason, you had Newcastle 2-1 winning. I'm not sure how you got that one.
Yeah, you know, when you love it that much, even if you know you might lose, you
got to go for it.
So to clarify,
you always got to back your team.
you got to be true to your colors. So I respect that. But
I'll never change. I'm loyal. I'm a Newcastle fan, an Airdrie fan, which is in the third tier of Scotland, and a Scotland fan.
That would be a good game, Newcastle and Airdrie, I think, right now. That could be... I'd go 0-0 myself.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, though, you got the correct outcome. So you got one, he got 0.
Yeah.
Good call.
If you want to give me one, that's fine.
And then the next game we had was Everton-Aston Villa, which was 4-0, the actual score. I had 3-0, and you had 3-1, so then we both get a point there.
That's a good call.
Yeah. Next game was Southampton and Stoke. Actual score was Southampton 0, Stoke 1. I had 1-1 and you had 2-1 to Southampton, so we both whitewashed on that one. And this is a surprise result here. We had West Brom and Arsenal. Actual score was 2-1 West Brom. I had 3-0 Arsenal and you had 3-1 Arsenal, so again, nothing there. Next one was Manchester City against Liverpool.
No one got this.
No one
right.
got this right.
In the
score
world,
was 4-1 Liverpool. I had Man City 2-1, and you had a tie 2-2. So nothing there. Spurs and West Ham United. Actual score was 4-1. And then Spurs won 2-1. Sorry, I had 2-1, and you also had 2-1. So we both got a point each there for getting the score right. And then another great result of the weekend.
Don't bring this one up.
Crystal Palace against Sunderland. Crystal Palace 0, Sunderland 1. Get in!
Yeah, there we go. Now we're getting the buzz.
Sorry, Alan.
But I went with 1-1 and you went Crystal Palace 2-1, so you were way off. But I'm happy I didn't get any points there. I'm just happy with the result.
Nice.
So
both of you zeroed out on the last
Zero.
one.
Yeah.
And that's funny when you said who would have bet on Liverpool winning 4-1 at Man City. I saw somebody on Twitter that got posted, and there was this guy that he had 8 bets on an accumulator. You call it a parlay in America, but it's an accumulator. And he had 8 bets, and he put $5 down, or £5, which is $7-8, to win £66,000. And he got it all the way to yesterday's game, and it was Brentford to beat Bolton. And it wasn't because he had ones that were like both teams to score plus a win and someone to score first and all that sort of thing. It came all the way down to yesterday, one game to win 66 grand, which is around thinking about $190,000 ish. And he's watching it, and he had Brentford to beat Bolton. Brentford's winning 1-0 until well late in the game, and Bolton score. Just imagine that. Hopefully he could do something, maybe borrow money from friends and like put a decent amount for Bolton to win or something like that.
To lay it off, yeah.
Or to kind of hedge it. But I just imagine how sick you would be for 100 grand on a bet where you put $5 down.
And going into the game, I would have thought that would have been a good result for them, because I just read today Bolton haven't been paid the players haven't been paid for the last month because they're having financial trouble. So you'd think, the effort on the field would be lacking, but obviously the score late in the game shows that when you're on the field, you always give 100%. So
does that
I'm looking for the gambler, but good for Bolton.
Does that happen a lot where players don't get paid? I know that happens in like European basketball a lot, where players have to like beg for checks and stuff like that. But
it's happened on a few occasions, mostly in the low divisions. Though is usually what happens when teams are struggling with the finances and what have you.
The thing is, though, in the lower levels, and it happens a lot more than people think. It's just not broadcasted over here as much. But what they do is, and that's what's a good thing, and that's a good thing about our league right now in NASL. If you're struggling for money, and you literally cannot pay the players, and they got Grant here, and the team wants to buy him for $250,000, you sell him, and that's all gets you through the rest of the season.
Really?
So I didn't know if you knew that.
No.
Yeah. So like when you sell a player, so when you hear that Real Madrid bought Cristiano Ronaldo for 82 million, but I don't know what 6, 7, 8 years ago, it's 82 million to the team, then his signing on fee, then his agent's fee, and then his wages.
His wages will kill them.
His wage, yeah, 300,000 pounds a week.
That's almost $750,000.
So then they have to pick up his contract, right?
Yeah.
Essentially. Okay.
But the contracts are null and void. It's not like here, like when you, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't have a lot of knowledge in American sports, but like you don't pick up the contract. It's whatever the player agrees to with the new team. So
Here?
if you want, nope, and
in Europe, so
Europe.
your
Okay,
contract
here-
doesn't go with you.
Okay,
But
here
in
your
Europe-
contract goes with
Yeah,
you unless you
in
renegotiate
Europe,
it.
and
it's
in the
whatever
past,
it's
whatever you agree on,
whatever
yeah.
you agree upon.
So what if you go? So you could essentially be sold to a team and get more money.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
if you have a really good and crazy agent, yes. But yeah, that's what it is. Like you buy and sell players, and
Is there a-
Peterborough United was a great example. I don't know if you ever saw the television program, a team in England, Division 1, or the second tier in England, and literally Barry Fry, who I'm sure you know, he owned it. He said it's the worst decision he's ever made. When he couldn't pay the players' wages, he would try and upset one of the players so he could sell them.
Asking for a transfer.
Yep, ask for a transfer, and then he would get it in and he's like, I definitely want to go, and then he'd go to one of the bigger teams or a same level team, and they might give him $200,000. Well, $200,000, which is $350,000, will get you through the rest of the season.
And that's another thing that's different in England or in Europe is if you go and ask to be traded, you don't get the 5% of the transfer fee. When if the club trades you without asking you, say, okay, we just traded you to to Manchester United for $5 million, there'll be 10%, 5% goes to the league, 5% goes to the player. But if you ask to be traded,
It nulls that out.
nulls that. So that's why Craig was saying he would go to the player, upset him, he would come and ask for a transfer. So that's going to save him 5% of wherever the transfer fee is going to be. So he's a pretty smart guy.
Yeah,
It's a transfer request, and if you put it in, you basically walk in with this piece of paper we have here, and you give it to the manager, you give it to the chairman, and then that's when you waive your thing. But if they just say, I don't like you anymore, I don't want you, they can sell you.
Yeah.
So essentially, there's no loyalty in a contract. Then, like, if you don't want to be there, you can do that. You can just transfer.
But you can get refused. There's
Yeah.
no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They can refuse it and say,
Oh,
no, you're staying here. But, if you go to a team that knows that's going to want you, you could just say, hand in the transfer request, and then what they'll do on the other end is they'll just give you a bigger signing bonus of what the transfer fee would have been, that the 5% would have been. So
Make up for
it on the other side.
Wow.
And the money they make these days, they don't have to make up very much because the money that's out there right now is absolutely ridiculous.
And that's the thing, the whole player power thing, and we don't have this on the agenda, but the whole player power is just, it makes me sick, to be honest, that a player that wants a transfer and they put a transfer request in, the manager can say no, but do you really want a player playing for you that doesn't want to be there? And you know how much it upsets the players, and we spoke earlier about how pampered these players are. Like, it's way different from when I played. It's way different from, I know, definitely from when you played. Like, if you've never dared do someone like that. And I spoke earlier about the whole locker room thing and how much I cared about my teammates and how much I loved them and how much we were together. I would have dared done that. I might have said, when my contract was going up, I might have maybe moved or something like that, but I would never walk into the manager's office in the middle of the season and say, I want to be sold.
It's rare, but it does happen, and I'm sure it's happened in the past. And it might affect the player for a couple of games, but the coach, is willing to, to have him upset for a couple of games and then maybe get his mind back into the game, and he's willing to give up those couple of games where he's not 100%, but he will, start playing well again, and that's what the coach is gambling on at times. But if it's a player that he's thinking about maybe trading and he does come in and ask for a transfer, the coach's wishes have come true. He's asking for a transfer. Well, we'll get rid of him. We'll save the 5% and we'll move on. Maybe get a better player in place of him.
So a little bit sad news is I can't believe it. It was George Best who we've spoke about, my hero. Alan's played against him. It was his 10-year anniversary of passing away, and just for someone I look up to, just in awe of how he played, and wish I was even 1% of him. I want to kind of bring that up. Alan, did he ever nutmeg you?
No, I could never get close to him. He was at one end of the field and I was at the other end of the field. But obviously it's sad that it's been 10 years since he died. But the good thing about that is, people are bringing it up and they're showing a lot of highlights again, and it just brings great memories back of watching him play. I used to watch even when I was growing up as a young kid. I used to love watching him play. I'm still a Man United fan, actually. I still pull for them, even though Sunderland's my main team.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought you're a Sunderland fan.
Sunderland's my main team, but when I watch Manchester United play, I always kind of want them to win, and it always because of George Best. He was just unbelievable and fun to watch. You see him on Match of the Day. Back then, there wasn't any live games unlike they are now. I think over here, we get all the games live, but I don't think you get them all live in England. You have to pay. There's, you got Sky Sports and BT Sports that you have to pay packages for to get. But, we're lucky over here because we get to see all the games. Back in the day, we used to have to wait till Match of the Day came on at 10 o'clock at night just to see any kind of games, and there'd be one main game and a couple of highlights. But you were just hoping it'd be Manchester United just to see some of the plays of George Best.
It's crazy. And I forget who I was speaking to at Minnesota United recently, and they were asking, we get more games here and we have more access to English Premier League games than my friends do in Scotland, and they have more access to MLS games than we do here in the US.
It's just
because obviously that's how they sell it. And
yeah.
My friends, like, I have the laptop up, I have the TV on, I've got the iPad up, I'm on the phone doing Twitter, and we have all this access to it. But it's funny you brought up Match of the Day, and I love how they're doing it here in the US now. Match of the Day was... My typical day in Scotland was Saturday morning, get up, watch Grandstand, which is kind of like a ESPN type thing.
Okay.
My dad goes, all right, we're going to the game. Go pick up my uncle, go pick up my granda. We go to the game, home and away. My team was Airdrie. We were shocking. We've always been shocking. But we went home and away, Alan. Every single week. Doesn't matter. And we get home. We'd get some food. He'd put me to bed. Actually, early in that day, I had a game. I always played Saturday morning, so like 8 o'clock a game. Get back, go to bed, and then my dad would wake me up at 10:45 for Match of the Day. And that you knew you played well that morning if your dad woke you up and let you stay up to midnight to watch Match of the Day. And Match of the Day is just a highlight show, so it's every team and it's their highlights. So it's not just like a game.
Yep.
It's the highlights.
Breaks down the best parts of the whole game.
They break it down and they speak, and you knew when Dad knocked on the door and he's like, son, Mum's in bed. Come watch it. And you sit on the couch with him, and honestly, those are some of the best times of my life. But that being said, Grant, what else do you have for us?
Well, along with this show, Soccer with the Kick, we have a lot of other great shows on our network, the Alive and Social Network. We have one called The Good Podcast with Ross Swaybeck. He's a lifestyle expert. He knows everything from cooking to designing to clothes to decorating for certain holidays, but he's just all-around fun guy to listen to. His show's The Good Podcast. It's every Friday, and it's at 10:30 a.m. on Fridays. But check it out. It's with Ross Swaybeck. He's a lifestyle expert, and he's does a lot of things with Fox 9 News. He does different profile pieces, like I said, on different holiday decorations or different types of different foods that you can have on these holidays. So, again, check it out, The Good Podcast on the Alive and Social Network with Ross Swaybeck every Friday at 10:30.
I think he stole our name. That's what we should have went with. The Good Podcast.
Right?
Like, got a Newcastle fan, you got a Sunderland fan. Like, this is an extremely average one, apparently, when you go through that. Predictions week 2. Should we get into that?
Yep. Aston Villa, Watford. Actual score was Aston Villa 2, Watford 3, which was a shocking result for Aston Villa. I had Aston Villa winning 2-1. Sorry, you had Aston Villa winning 2-1. I had a 1-1.
I did?
Yeah. So.
Okay, so people listening, I know nothing about football if I had Aston Villa winning.
Okay. So in that one, then, there'd been zeros, right?
Zeros, yeah,
Yep.
because. Next game this is just a wonderful game. This was Sunderland 2, Stoke City 0.
I want to do it, but I can't. I was going to do it to you.
Craig went with scoreline of Sunderland 1, Stoke 2, so he was completely wrong. And I actually had 2-0 Sunderland. So,
you did?
So I was 3 points right there.
Wow.
I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to get off my seat and go have a check to make sure you actually had
That's right.
2-0.
You sent me the email. Next game was Manchester City
should've
against
changed it.
Southampton. Manchester City won 3-1. Craig, you were close. You had Manchester City 3, Southampton 0. I had Manchester City 3, Southampton 1. Spot on again.
Oh.
Another 3 points.
Wow.
And then we have Crystal Palace 5, Newcastle 1.
All right, everyone, have a good night. That's the end of the show. We appreciate you listening.
Yeah. Where's the closing music?
Get rock and roll star up.
5-1 Crystal Palace. That's just outstanding.
That baffles me.
And then Crystal Palace, you had Newcastle winning that game 2-1, so you were way off. And I had Crystal Palace beating Newcastle 2-0, so I get a point for that one. But remember when Rangers and Celtic were trying to get into the Premier League? A few years ago, they were trying to maybe get voted into the Premier League. This would be a good time for Newcastle to try and force himself into the Scottish Division 3, maybe, and then they'll be, might win a game or two to get the confidence back.
I'm not normally that violent of a person, but yeah, Grant's holding me back right now.
Grant's
holding me.
Craig's really red right now.
Grant's holding me. Yeah, I'm fuming, and I knew it. And we're going to talk about it at the end, but 5-1. That's just ridiculous. Like, I hoped we would win. I got to back my team. I had a feeling we might lose, especially with Pardew being there. But 5-1 is just
unspeakable.
Just
you
go.
can't even talk.
Move on.
Well, next game was Bournemouth and Everton. The actual score was a 3-3 tie. You had Bournemouth 1, Everton 3, so we were wrong, and I had Bournemouth 1, Everton 3, so nothing there also.
You know what was interesting about that game was Everton scored in the 93rd minute, right around there, and their fans jumped on the pitch, and this was at Bournemouth. They jumped on, they wasted time, the referee added more time on. By the time everyone got back into the stands, Bournemouth had scored. So if the fans didn't jump on, then it would have been fine. So that's a note to all you fans out there: when you got your games, don't
get arrested.
Don't get arrested, and then more importantly, don't lose 2 points for your team. That's what I care about. I don't care if they get arrested; just don't lose 2 points.
Okay, the next game we had was Leicester against Manchester United, which was a 1-1 tie. Craig went Leicester 1, Man United 2. And I had Leicester 2, Manchester United 2. So I got the tie there. So I get that 1 point.
Also, Jamie Vardy got the consecutive scoring record, 12 games in a row, and scoring a goal.
And then I just read he's got to score in every game the rest of this year into January to equal Messi's record of, I think, 21 or something. So just imagine having to score 20 or 21 or 23 games in a row. That's just unbelievable.
So 4 years ago, Jamie Vardy, who plays up front for Leicester, he was working in a factory. Then he got a part-time job or a part-time contract playing in the 4th or 5th division in England, and now he's the top goal scorer in the Premier League, and a team wants to buy him for 30 million.
What?
Or that's what he valued at.
Yeah.
So he went from a factory worker to being in the 4th or 5th division, just getting I know what you get in there. I know in Scotland, Alan, you get like £50 a week, £50 a week.
That's awesome.
And he rolls all the way to that.
And he's in the England national team now. He didn't play the last time because he was injured, but he made it all the way into the England team. But like you said, yeah, teams are going to put out probably 25, 30 million for him, and it might happen as soon as January coming up. It wouldn't surprise me if you see a Tottenham or a Chelsea or someone like that, even a Manchester United.
I've got to start playing again. Both of us should start training together.
My days are gone. But just amazing the amount of money that's in the game these days. All right, the next one was Tottenham against Chelsea. Actual score was 0-0. You had Chelsea winning 3-1, and I had Spurs winning 3-1. So nothing there. That was
Goose egg.
Goose egg there. And then the next one was West Ham 1, West Brom 1. You had West Ham winning 2-1, and I had West Ham winning 2-0. So that was another whitewash there. Next one was Liverpool against Swansea. Actual score 1-0. You had Liverpool 3-0. So you get a point there. And I also had Liverpool 3-0. And the last one of the week was Norwich against Arsenal. Yeah, 1-1. That was a scoreline. You had Arsenal 3-0, and I had Arsenal 2-1. So 0 points there.
Not bad. We'll get a little tally in a second. Like I said, this week, because we missed a couple of weeks, this will definitely be a Premier League heavy one. So I got the fixtures up for next week, Alan, if you want to keep going.
Okay. Okay, the early game is...
I have them here if you need.
Stoke Man City. Okay, you go first.
Stoke Man City. I will do 3-1 Man City.
Okay, I'll go 1-0 Man City.
Ooh, that's interesting. But yeah, Mark Hughes has them playing pretty well,
at
to
home.
be honest.
They're tough to play at home.
They said that's the loudest atmosphere in the country.
At Stoke?
Yep, Stoke is brilliant at the Britannia Stadium. Next one would be, this should be good, Arsenal Sunderland. What do you got? I'm going to let you go first.
Well, Sunderland are coming off 2 wins in a row. And I just saw Arsenal had a couple of injuries, one of them being Sanchez. He has tweaked his hamstring. Hopefully he sits out. If he does, it gives Sunderland a chance of maybe sneaking a point. They had a couple of other injuries. Sunderland are waiting on Jermaine Defoe because he tweaked a hamstring also. But I think Arsenal will be just too strong for them. I'll say 2-0 Arsenal.
Yeah, I was going to go 3-0 Arsenal. Not ripping on you. I just know how good they are at home.
Yeah. But they've had some weird results the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, Allardyce is just, I think, he's going to have them organised, but I still think 3-0. So you got Watford, Norwich. This is one you probably don't want to wake up for. I'm going to say just a real boring, annoying 1-1 draw.
I'm going to say 2-1 Watford. Watford surprised me winning at Villa. So I think at home they might be able to sneak past Norwich City. So I'd say 2-1 Watford.
We have, next one is Swansea, Leicester. I like Leicester, especially with Jamie Vardy. Do you think he's going to get the unlucky 13 in a row scoring record? I think he will. I think they're good. I also do like Swansea quite a bit. And I'm going to say it would be 2-1 Leicester.
Yeah, I think I'll go with the same scoreline too. Swansea's a good team at home, but they've been struggling as of late. The last 6 or 7 games, they haven't played well together, and Leicester's on a high right now. They're the second in the table, second or third in the table.
Southampton Villa, I think that's an easy one. Even so, Southampton are not having their best season, and they're not really being that consistent, and maybe not playing the best football they have before. But Aston Villa is even worse than Newcastle right now.
That's hard to say, isn't it?
It's hard to say. Villa's absolutely shocking.
He looked away as he said that, by the way.
I'm going to go 2-0 Southampton.
I'll say 3-0 Southampton.
Man United, West Ham. It's a difficult one because Man United typically would beat them 3-4-0 back in the past. They're just so compact. They are efficient, which is good, but they don't have that attacking force like they used to that me and you remember them from.
Yeah, they're not scoring a lot of goals lately, and that's what's hurting them. Defensively, they're pretty strong. So for me, I 2-0 Man United would be, I'm sure they would love that scoreline because it gets them into a crooked number because they're struggling otherwise.
I'm going to say 2-1 Man United.
Okay.
West Brom against Tottenham Hotspur. Again, West Brom's another team with a manager who's old school, who just keeps the team compact. Spurs, I think, have been playing absolute brilliant football. The first half against Chelsea, they were magnificent. Second half was a little bit more even. I'm going to go 2-0 to Chelsea, to Tottenham Hotspur.
West Brom, we had them the other week and against Arsenal, and we thought Arsenal were going to beat them easily, but they turned the table on them. I do think Tottenham will win them. They're just too good right now, but I'm thinking it might be a 3-1 Tottenham.
Chelsea, Bournemouth, 3-0 Chelsea. Let's not waste any time on it. We already spoke about Costa. 3-0. I'm
going to go 2-1 Chelsea. I just don't think the confidence is there right now to get 3 goals in a game. Be nice if they did, but Bournemouth keeps surprising me. I thought they'd hit that wall, but all of a sudden they're starting to come back and score goals again.
Newcastle, Liverpool.
I'll let you go first on that one.
I'm going to say 5-0. No, we're at home. I think there will be a reaction from the players, whether they're behind the manager or not. Losing 3-0 at home and then losing 5-1 at home, there has to be a reaction. Otherwise, these players should not be professional footballers. I'm not saying they're going to win. I'm not saying they're going to draw, but there should.
Sorry.
It's all right, as I'm getting a hug.
You sounded like you need a little...
It was
tough to talk about that for you. A little bit.
I just want a reaction. So obviously I want to win. If we don't, that's okay. But there should be a reaction. Those players, regardless of the manager, the training, or what's going on, you come out and you actually play for the top. And obviously as yourself, Sunderland fan, you agree with that as well. Like, as an ex-player, you lose 3-0 and then 5-1, you come out and absolutely, you prove that you actually want to be there. Result doesn't really matter. I think for this one, it's more the performance.
Give me the result. Give me the result.
Over the result. I'm going to go... See, I got to decide if I want to win this little league that we have or if I want Newcastle to win. I'm going to say...
Loyalty or...
I'm sorry to my family back home. I'm going to say 2-1 Liverpool.
Oh.
Well, I agree on the winning team, so we can start off there. And I agree there's going to be a reaction, but I don't think it's going to be from the players. I think it's going to be from the fans. Like you said, getting beat 3-0 and 5-1, they were just awful, both games. And
thanks.
The players will come out, but sometimes when you're in a bit of a rut like this, you can almost try too hard, and the players get frustrated. And I have a feeling Newcastle's going to come out flying. They're going to get in all kinds of foul trouble, and before you know it, you're off the field. It'll be something like that because you just have to come out and keep a sensible head about you, and that's work hard, but work hard sensibly, just not running chaotic or all over the field. But I think Liverpool don't score a lot of goals other than the Man City game, but I have a feeling it could be another 2-3, 4-0 to Liverpool. I'll say 3-0 Liverpool.
Sweet. All right, let's stop talking about Newcastle. I think we're kind of getting to the end of this. What do we have for scores, Grant?
Well, for the predictions, I got those down for next week. Looks like it's going to be tight because I like what you guys were picking. But as of week 1, Craig, you won week 1 6-5. That perfect score you had on the first one was what got you through it.
Get in. Give me a round of applause.
Yes. We'll do a little bit of this along with... All right. And week 2, unfortunately, was not your week. And Alan ran the table on you with that one, 9-2. So, Alan, congratulations.
For some reason, I love that scoreline of 9-2. It brings back so many great memories. New York Cosmos, 78, 5 goals.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, 9-2. You had 2 perfect picks, and I'm surprised you guys. Between the 2 weeks, you guys had 3 correct score and results.
92 is also going to be the score of the Arsenal Sunderland game this week. But really, I only got 2.
But the results, but the league table will still have
shocking.
Sunderland above them.
I'm embarrassed. Everyone that's listening, obviously, I'm at Craig_Malice and then at Alan Willie 9. I'm embarrassed to only get 2 points out of that, and maybe I shouldn't be working for a professional soccer team if I get 2 points out of a possible.
But you might have had 4 if you'd gone against Newcastle. You know, you might not have got the result right, but at least you would have got the other team. You could have picked who was it? Who did Newcastle play?
Palace.
Palace. You could have picked Palace, but you didn't. You know, so and you could have picked Leicester, and that would have been 2 more points. But you know, you're a bit of a homer, so you know you've got to stick with it. Even though you went up against them this week,
you got to be loyal. Yeah, Liverpool. I'm sure Newcastle will beat Liverpool this week, and it's gonna kill me. But like I said, those are our Twitter handles. Please follow. Let us know what you want to hear from us, what you like. Our great producer Grant, thank you.
Hey, you're welcome, guys. Thanks for having me.
For being here. And then Alan, as usual, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. We'll see you next week.
You're the best. Oh, not if Newcastle lose again, I won't be. This is Soccer with a Kick. That's Alan Willie. I'm Craig Malice, and we love you all. Thank you. Take care. Bye.